Well, I've been living in this van for about a month now, and so far I can tell you the number one thing that I've learned is you gotta stay out of the heat. It gets above 90, 95, and I don't care who you are, when you live in a metal box, there's not a lot you can do even with AC. So I was stuck in Chico. I checked the map. Nevada City's about 90 minutes away. It's up in the mountains. It's beautiful, so I decided to head up there for the 3-day weekend. Now I got lucky, I made some awesome friends on this trip, and I took a trip to the meditation center where I know the guiding teacher, and there was a great teacher visiting from Canada, and I got to interview them both. So stay tuned for all that, and I'm glad you're here. Now normally I shower at the gym, but I trim my beard outside, one so I don't hog the bathroom, but also so no one has to deal with my beard hair. So I'm out here in the parking lot trimming my beard, and afterwards this guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, I love your rig. Can I ask you some questions about it?" And I say, "Yeah, sure." So we get to talking. Turns out this guy's a retired sculptor, and he and his wife are building out their own van so they can travel pretty soon when she retires. So we talk for 5 or 10 minutes, and eventually he says, "How long are you in town for?" And I said, "I don't know, a few days." He says, "Hey, I got some property up here. You can park your van as long as you want. We got water. We got everything you need. Just come on up." And I say, "Yeah, that sounds awesome." So he gave me his address, and that night, as soon as I got off work, I drove up there to their property. We made it. This place looks awesome. And this is the kind of thing that I was hoping would happen on this trip. I've always kind of just winged it when I travel. Sometimes you get into trouble doing that. Sometimes you get into hot water not having a plan. But I've always found as long as you're kind and friendly and you have a kind of inviting vibe, then you kind of attract those same kind of people. And when you're open, the world tends to open up to you as well. And I'm just super fortunate and super blessed that I ran into this guy. Hey, John. Oh, here he is now. Hey, Patrick. Hey, guys, this is Patrick. He's the guy that invited me to stay here. Say hi, Patrick.
Hi.
Not much else to say, huh?
Not much to say, yeah. Welcome to Nevada City.
Thanks a lot. When's your wife coming home?
She's home right now. She'll be out in a minute.
Oh, yeah. Great. Patrick's bringing me to his workshop. We're going to check out the kind of work he does in here. Oh, wow. Look at this. So you were a sculptor?
Yeah.
So is this a tool or is this something that you're sculpting?
This is one of my pieces right now. I'm just finishing it up. This is Peruvian walnut, canary wood, bloodwood, poplar, caduce. These are all exotic woods. They're all natural colors. There's no...
Oh, you didn't stain this at all?
No stains. All natural.
Wow, that's beautiful. And then you said it's exotic wood?
They're all exotic woods. In other words, not the domestics like pine and
oak
walnut and stuff like that. The exotics meaning they come from all over the world.
Got it.
Yeah. Copper, solid copper and corn.
What is this wood?
This is Purple Heart from South America.
It's called Purple Heart?
Yeah.
And the wood is not stained, or this one is stained?
No, everything's...
It comes purple?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So this is the neighbor, John. I'm gonna go in there and give him some strawberries, because he's a super nice dude.
I complain, we can have a fun time, but I have to remember I'm not that little...
Knock, knock.
Oh.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Come in.
Hey, can I give you some strawberries?
Oh, hold on. Brenda, I'm gonna have to hang up, okay?
No,
No, I'll talk to you in a minute, okay? All right, I'll be seeing you on Wednesday, okay? Bye-bye. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I bought some strawberries. I bought too many.
Cool.
You want these?
Sure.
Thanks for
You're
being
not gonna be eating them all?
No, I bought way too many.
Oh, okay.
And say hi. So this is John. This is the neighbor.
Hey, how's it going? And,
Super nice guy. He's a retired electrician.
He's just a retired old man.
Next morning, I had a couple things on the agenda. try to get out of there in the morning before anyone got up, but again, they had to stop me and again be helpful. How's it
I'm
going?
not trying to annoy you, but
It's all good.
like I said, I'm an old school dude. This
Yeah.
is where you're at. Here's Highway 49, Downeyville, and all there. And that's that Gold Lake Loop.
Cool,
Like,
I'll take it, man.
but yeah, I get them for free. So. I've got more. And if you're coming back, you plan on coming back?
Yeah, I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then the door's open. Just
Cool.
feel free to come in.
Yeah, I plan on staying here till Tuesday, probably.
Okay. You're welcome. Like I said,
All
you
right.
know,
I appreciate
don't worry about it.
I appreciate it, man. So for the young people in the crowd, this is called a map. It contains a diagram of different locations that you can drive to on roads. And Patrick's neighbor John gave this to me with some areas highlighted here that he said are cool to check out. So that's what we're doing. What Patrick, his wife Catherine, and John seem to intuitively understand is the joy in being a refuge for others. Every human being is always looking for the same thing, a place that's safe and where we are always welcome just as we are, with no pressure to perform or provide anything. And most people are starving for this. Many people have never experienced it. Most of us that have only had it for a short time during childhood. Everyone feels this subtle alienation, but for most people it's below the surface of their awareness. If you can give someone the gift of safety and welcomeness in your presence, even for a brief moment, even for the length of a conversation, that is a huge gift that will ripple outward into the world forever. And your list of friends will grow and grow and grow. This is the foundation for all positive personal change. We can never take a step forward until we feel safe where we're standing right now. And so many people get stuck where they are because they don't feel safe to be themselves. So if you can be a refuge for others and be a refuge for yourself, that is a gift that's going to keep on giving. A few different locals had told me that the Yuba River is the place to be. They said it's beautiful, lots of good spots, but they also said that it's crowded and you have to hike to the good spots usually. And it was like 90, 92 degrees, and I'm here to get out of the heat. I'm not trying to do all that. So instead, I just went to the lake. Well, after that wonderful and rejuvenating trip to the lake, it was time to head over to the meditation center to meet up with Adam Stonebraker and Don Mauricio, the two teachers that were there over the weekend. Nevada City is about 2,400 people, so not very big, but this is one of the more active Dharma centers that I've encountered, and it's really impressive what they're able to do with their community. On Saturday, they had the day-long retreat. On Friday, they had open temple. And on Monday, they had their usual Dharma talk. This is a true gem, tucked up here in the mountains. So if you're ever in Nevada City and you're a meditator or you're curious about meditation, go check out Mountain Stream and let them know I sent you, because I'm sure they'll be happy to hear the words getting out about their center. Sitting here with Adam Stonebraker. You are the guiding teacher now.
Yes.
Of Mountain Stream. So what does that mean exactly?
So guiding teacher means that I basically kind of set the course in regard to programming and what teachers we bring in, and when we have retreats, and basically everything that's about the Dharma. I sort of run that, and then and I don't have any necessarily administrative role. One, I'm not very good at that, and two, I'm not really interested in it.
Yeah.
But we have a center director that takes care of most of that. So I'm kind of the creative part of the leadership.
Do you do like interviews with students and
one-on-one
participants here?
interviews and Dharma talks and courses and retreats and things like that.
Cool. And you're pretty young. How old are you?
47.
47. Okay, you look a bit younger. But you must have gotten, I think I saw in your bio, you got started in 1999 practicing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's relatively young. I mean, I started when I was 24, and that was pretty young. But you must have jumped in with both feet in order to gain enough insight and enough ability to start teaching and be asked to teach at your age.
Mm.
So how did you get started doing that?
Yeah, I was in college in Cincinnati. I was a theology student at a Jesuit university, and then one of my professors, I took a class on world religions, and I'd already had an interest in Buddhism, but I had Buddhism hardly existed in Cincinnati, so there was no real way to learn about it.
Uh-huh.
And so in this course, I was really drawn to Buddhism and also yoga. But it just so happened that the professor was a practicing Buddhist and also a Catholic at the same time, which is very strange.
Uh-huh.
And he taught me how to meditate. And from there, I found a Zen Sangha. So I spent my first years in a Korean Zen Sangha. And yeah, it was over from there.
Just caught fire at that point.
Yeah, caught fire.
Yeah, so you and I have a mutual friend, Lena. I met her about 10 years ago. We were roommates. I think you said that you were her yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So at some point you shifted, at least devoted some of your time towards yoga instead of meditation. How did that happen? And I guess another follow-up question or attached question is, one sort of frustration that I have around yoga is, the original purpose of the practice was to prepare the body and the mind for long stretches of meditation. And it's when it hit Western culture or individualist mindset, it kind of got co-opted a bit into like the exact opposite purpose in terms of glorifying the self and beautifying the body and everything. And I'm wondering do you have that same frustration? And is how is that transition to yoga happening?
Yeah, I want to clarify. I was never Lena's teacher. We were always colleagues, but
okay.
I want to get over her. But so like I said, I first encountered it in a college course, yoga, and the way we learned it is there's hatha yoga, and there's karma yoga, and there's bhakti yoga, and there's all these different types of yoga, and all these are different ways to sort of reach the divine or to become enlightened or it's spiritual in nature. It's a practice. It's something that you do to connect or unify with divinity, however you define that. And so I came into it as a spiritual practice, which is very different than most people. Most people kind of come into it as a
fitness,
as fitness, or the doctor prescribes or something. Which I think either entry point is good, because I trust the practice enough to lead people where they want to go. But you also have to have a teacher that can help facilitate that.
Yeah.
So a lot of yoga teachers these days are just basically fitness instructors, and they don't offer the deeper spiritual practice.
Right.
And so it's unfortunate because yoga is so powerful.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I find it to be a very complementary practice to yoga or to
meditation. Yeah, of course.
Buddhism. We even call, on retreat, we call the people on retreat yogis.
Right.
So, there's definitely a lot of crossover, but I'm not sure if I answered the whole question.
No, I think that's good enough. That's pretty much what I was looking for.
Okay.
Now, so me personally, what I've learned about myself, the way my mind deals with uncertainty is like through overachieving, through competing with the person next to me, acquiring checkpoints and badges and status just as a way of saying, like, okay, this is just, I learned this about myself through the practice. I didn't see it beforehand. And every time I get on the cushion, there's this urge to get to the next thing. Now, from the outside, you don't really seem to have that particular issue. You seem to have the innate wisdom that isn't, like, when I listen to your voice, it's very soothing. You seem very measured. And I'm going to assume, forgive me, that you're not fully enlightened. So, what are like the repetitive patterns that happen in your mind that cause you suffering?
Yeah, I think, I have a very busy mind. And so my mind's always going. And so I can get very frustrated, or I used to get very frustrated in practice. And kind of this feeling of not being good enough. And, that's my struggle. That's my shadow is not being good enough, or maybe I'm not a meditator, or thinking all of these things about myself. I've gotten to a point now where I just realize those are just patterns that are there, and I can see them within the context of something much bigger,
right,
which allows them to settle down. So, but yeah, the struggles I have, it's mostly again around just this constant machine moving, constantly going, and I don't have a naturally calm mind, but I'm able to work with it. And I think that's really what the practice is creating a healthy relationship, or a skillful relationship with your mind.
Yeah.
And I really see the whole practice as relationship, seeing things in different ways and learning how to relate to things in a more skillful way. And so if I'm constantly battling my mind, then that's just going to create more and more and more suffering.
Yeah.
And so just kind of accepting that the mind is the way it is, and just being able to settle into a space that kind of encompasses all of the things. So
it's not a problem until we make it a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that last question, for one of my goals with this project is to make Dharma and mindfulness practice relatable. And a lot of people don't have a functional or a very practical idea about what meditation is. And so what are the most common misconceptions that you've seen people just starting their practice, and what advice would you give to people that are curious but don't know where to start?
Yeah, I think one thing is just exactly what I just talked about is this idea that you're a bad meditator until your mind completely clears, then you're a good meditator. That's just a myth that really, I think, trips a lot of people up.
Yeah.
And I hear it all the time. I'm just not a good meditator.
I can't meditate. Yeah.
Meditate, all these things.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the wrong way to go about it. If you just kind of accept the way your mind, the way it is, really, that's all we're trying to do. Something I keep in mind is the Tibetan word for meditation is this word gom, and it means to become familiar with. And I like to think of it to make friends with. And so really meditation is just about becoming familiar with your own mind. And so learning what's right here and now, rather than trying to create something that's not actually here right now. So if you can just sit, be quiet, and observe your mind, then you're meditating.
Right.
And that's all it is. And for me, kind of when I first encountered Buddhism, the first noble truth was really profound for me. Just this fact of accepting that when we try to create happiness out of material things, or we try to perpetuate pleasure, then that's just going to create more and more suffering. And so, a good starting off point is just to sit with your mind, just to sit there and breathe, and just try to get to know your own thoughts and how your mind works, and know that it doesn't have to be any way other than it actually is. And then I would also seek out some instruction, a book or a teacher or something to get started, or a local sangha, because the sanghas are really important for just helping support the process and the practice.
Great. Well, Adam Stonebraker, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck with your journey.
Thanks. Yeah. It's going to be, it's a challenge already, but it's going to be fun and a challenge. Yeah. So, getting here with Adam Stonebraker, where can people find you on social media and the internet if they want to hear more from you?
Instagram at Adam Yogi Stonebraker, and then website adamstonebreaker.com, and then our center is called Mountain Stream Meditation Center. It's mtstream.org.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Exciting. Okay. Now I'm here with Don Mauricio. You are a Filipino-Canadian Dharma teacher teaching in the Insight tradition. Did I get all that correct?
You did.
Perfect. Nailed it. Okay, yeah. So the first question is same thing that I had for Adam. You're one of the younger teachers I've encountered in the Insight circuit. I think the two of you advanced prior, I think, are like sort of in that cohort. How old are you, first of all?
I'm 45 in a few weeks.
45, okay. Yeah, I just turned 39. And I go around Dharma centers and I'm frequently the youngest person. So, So for you to have all this experience, you must have started quite early and quite rigorously. So how did that start for you?
So the way that I usually describe it is it started with my quarter life crisis. And I didn't really have a spiritual practice at that time, but there was a part of me that just wasn't accepting things as they were already. And so I had this corporate job for a year, but I cried every Sunday night for 9 months. Talk about a sign about to not continue down that path. And then so when I quit that job, I backpacked through Southeast Asia, and that's when I first discovered, I did my first meditation retreat on a monastery in northern Thailand.
You started with a retreat, okay? Yeah,
and it was just like, I mean, my personality is one that is a little bit intense. And same, like I jumped in 2 feet first on a monastery in a foreign country, so far from home, on my first solo trip, so everything about it was pretty intense. And it was at that time the hardest thing I had ever done, but it was also, there was something in the practice that I knew it was going to be part of my life forever. And then just like, so I described my personality as intense. And so of course that's how I started my practice. So practicing 4 hours a day, going on retreat as much as I could, for many years, and then studying, etc. So yeah.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. I didn't go on my first retreat until I was 11 years in.
Okay.
And that was way too long. Yeah. But that was practice was already the center of my life, but then it became like the real focal point at that point. Just seeing retreat practice is just night and day compared to daily practice, and you don't know until you're out there doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know, I think for me, I probably would have still found my way to this path, but I think the type of person I am, it's like go big or go home.
Yeah.
And so it's like I kind of needed that as my start.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it served you over the long haul,
Yeah.
So I have questions right now, but I want to follow that thread because I'm kind of the same way. And so eventually I'm sure you learned that was an unwise or not optimal, let's say, way of practicing. So how did you shift towards a more wisdom oriented practice?
I would say when I was in the thick of practicing intensely, which lasted for years, my partner at that time and my mom, both at different times, but it happened so close that I questioned whether it was planned or not, like a pseudo intervention. But they both came up to me and they both said the same thing, which was kind of like, you're doing so much meditation, but you're so mean. You are so impatient. You get angry so quickly, and things like that. And I thought, well, at first, actually, I didn't have a wholesome reaction. I thought, you don't know me, and I was defensive and whatnot. But then eventually, that stuck. And what stayed with me was that how I was practicing wasn't actually really helpful. For example, I was holding myself to this incredible high standard in my practice where the simple instruction was pay attention to your breath, and when your mind wandered, bring it back. And so I was doing that, but I was yanking it back. I was judging myself. And so, of course, when my timer would go off, I was cultivating concentration and mindfulness, but I was also cultivating this like anger and this unacceptance for things to not go as planned. And so, of course, that leaked into my relationships with the two people that I was closest to at that time, my partner and my mom. So.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I didn't have that experience, but for me, it was just learning what works on the cushion and what doesn't, and just really just radically loving myself in a way I didn't think I was allowed to. Yeah. And then that sort of my practice leveled up at that point, you know?
Yeah. There's always like something that really shifts. And I think generally, at least, you know, going on a survey of two people, it's often something around softening.
Yeah.
Because after that experience with my partner and my mom, it was, I decided not to go on a retreat until there was a little bit more integration and a little bit more kindness. Because ultimately I didn't want to become a monastic. And so if I was choosing to be of this world and generally practicing so I could be a better human, not just so I could concentrate better, then something needed to shift. And so that's where the softening came in.
Yeah, softening. Yeah. I went on a retreat with Brian Lesage, and that was one of the things I picked up. He focused on that. He's like, for the first decade of my practice, I wasn't softening. And after that, that was another big key for me. So you're a person of color, and you're the first Filipino North American person I've met in the insight tradition here. I've met a couple native Filipinos on retreat, but how being sometimes probably the only person with that identity in a Sangha or in a Dharma center must have been somewhat alienating, I would imagine, at times. And then how has that affected your practice and the way that you teach?
I'm happy to say I'm not the only Filipina Dharma teacher or Filipinx Dharma teacher, but there's still probably, we can count them on one hand. You know, there's not many of us. And then in my years of practice, when I wasn't practicing in Asia and I was practicing in North America, often the student body and the teachers didn't really reflect just what I looked like, nor were the examples very resonant, the examples that they give in talks and things like that. And so I had to translate a lot of what I was receiving as teachings to be adaptable to my circumstances. And then a lot of times, or depending on maybe certain conditions, if I was feeling extra vulnerable or didn't sleep well on a retreat or something like that, I would sometimes even feel very left out. And excluded, almost like I didn't belong, but a part of me knew I belonged at the same time. And so I just would bring to mind what the Buddha says, ehipasiko, you know, see for yourself. And so that translating that I had to do, well, then it made the practice more like dawn style. And then all the times that I felt like I wasn't being seen or there was assumptions being made about me, and then I should practice a certain way. And when I didn't take those on and actually I would tease them apart and speak to them, well, then I realized that actually for a lot of people, it spoke to them because they didn't necessarily see themselves in what was being taught, but they didn't really know that. They often thought that they were the problem. And I like to think that, all of us belongs, all of our complexities belong. There's so many ways onto the practice path. And it's really just about finding which one it is. And I love that invitation from the Buddha, that come see for yourself, because then we can make it really pertinent to what our heart and mind need, which will then encourage us to stay on the path longer. Versus if I was taking on someone else's practice that didn't really fit quite right. But then I was like, the example I sometimes give, it's like being a square peg, but trying to fit into a round hole.
Yeah. Everyone's suffering, right? So everyone suffers in their own way too. So the other thing you said on the retreat on Sunday was this, I don't know if you said maybe that was my word, over-reliance or obsession, or this fixation, I guess we have on rationality and scientific materialism here in the West. And I totally agree with you, but I've had the benefit of 14 years of practice and seeing these things for myself. But my Western conditioning and my professional training in science and engineering hears that and is like, whoa, okay. We had a time in our culture where we didn't have that, and it was called the Dark Ages, right? So it sounds like you want me to believe in superstition and magic and woo-woo. And why is that an unhelpful way to see this?
Well, it's so interesting because the way that I see that invitation, it's not necessarily let's go back to the Dark Ages, but it's more like there's so much that we can't explain. And then we can make ourselves dizzy trying to find the explanation. But when we're doing that or occupying ourselves in that way, we're missing all of the magic that is arising around us. If I think back to the time of the Buddha, more than 2,600 years ago, he explored the depths of his mind in a way that we're still exploring and studying today. And only more in recent years have they been hooking monks up to MRI machines, this and that, and they're confirming what the Buddha taught, basically. And so imagine if there was a bunch of, just to use, you said engineers or whatever, like imagine at the Buddha's time, there was so much emphasis on facts and studies. I wonder if his teachings would have survived this long. And so all that to say is, I think, for me at least, the more that I practice, the more that I realize that there's so much that can't be explained. But I really do believe that it's a result of my practice. And there's like this mystery part of it, mysterious part, but even magical. And, it doesn't have to be woo-woo or anything like that, but just like, can we not need to explain everything? Basically.
Yeah, and the way I see it, there are different ways of knowing things.
Exactly.
Right? We can know things quantitatively, but we can also know them qualitatively.
Yeah.
And this practice is all about the qualitative and confirming what's obviously true just through direct experience.
Exactly.
Rather than measurement.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're pretty good on time here. So where can people find you if they want to know more about you or follow you?
The easiest way is through my website, which is basically my name.com, donmauricio.com.
Okay, great. Thanks, Don.
Thank you. Thanks for this. And good luck with your journey.
Thanks. And just like that, the weekend was over, and it was time for me to head back. Huge thank you to Adam Stonebraker, Don Mauricio, and the Mountain Stream staff. Additionally, I'm forever grateful to Patrick, his wife Catherine, and their neighbor John. What did you like about this video? What did you dislike? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? And where should I go next? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the path.